Thank you all for tuning into the Innovator's Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Seth Narayanan, founder and CEO of Clinicians. In this episode, I'm excited to have Dr. Brianna Rhue, who is an optometrist, a multi-practice owner, and co-founder and CEO of Dr. Contact Lens, a health tech platform helping eye care practices compete with online retailers. A three-time Inc. 5000 honoree, she bridges frontline clinical experience with software innovation, automation, and practice profitability. She's also the creator of the Book Nerds podcast, where she explores leadership and growth through books. Brianna, great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get started with some background. You're a doctor, an entrepreneur, and successful on both ends. Being a CEO is a full-time job, but on top of that, you're also a practicing doctor. So you started out as an optometrist, bought into a private practice, and now you're the CEO of Dr. Contact Lens. How did this get started, and how did owning a brick and mortar practice shape the way you approached building a high-growth tech company?
Interesting journey, a journey I never thought I needed, but fell onto my lap. As Seth said, an eye doctor by trade, and then bought into a private practice, bought out that private practice in 2023. In 2016, there was a shift in the industry. So just to put the listeners into perspective, when you go get your eye health exam, you go in saying, maybe I need new glasses or contacts. We're actually checking most of your cranial nerves in that one exam. So it's not just your prescription that we're getting. We can see diabetes, macular degeneration, glaucoma, detect things like Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's, and all these things just by what we do as clinicians. Then we make most of our income from selling what we prescribe. Online retailers are coming in saying, customers, consumers, patients, come get this online vision test. Come get these online glasses because your optometrists are, pulling a fast one on you. Right. I promise you guys, we're not. When you look at what we make from these, our cost of goods was what we have to market up to, but getting you the best products so you can have your best vision, it matters. We were getting stripped of that with online retailers. And so Jen and I had the idea. I was 9 months pregnant, actually. So why not start a company? Because that sounds like a great idea, where we can make it easy for our patients to order, make it convenient and efficient, and stop having those terrible conversations that we were in with our own patients. So that's what brought me down this track of a tech company. For 2 years, I thought we were building a website, as you know, so that's now.
Yeah. I'll get to that point in a minute. Sometimes what helps you get into businesses, you not knowing all the details of how to run something.
I would never do it.
Exactly. So let's go back a little bit. How did you get into optometry school? Being a doctor is not an easy thing, but going through med school and then getting into optometry. So what were some of the key points for you, and what made you get into that?
And I like to say I became an optometrist in second grade when I got my first pair of glasses. My dad had two friends, really good friends, that were both really successful optometrists, had private practices. And I became a patient of one of theirs. And my mom forced one of them to give me contact lenses in third grade as I was a cheerleader, gymnast, dancer. Glasses just really didn't work in it. And girls are me. And that's when I fell in love with wanting to be a doctor. My dad and mom being owners of a furniture company, my dad always said, use your brain, don't use your body for your work. So I thought I wanted to be an orthodontist. Obviously, everybody kind of does when you get your braces on. Glad I didn't go down that path. And always brought back to optometry, where you get to own your own business, but you're also a doctor. Your undergraduate degree, then optometry school for 4 years. I did an extra year of a residency. So there's differences between ophthalmologists, optometrists, opticians. There's really 3 O's in eye care. But what's really fun is I think of me like your primary care eye doctor. And then I would get you to someone if there is an issue. We would diagnose it and get you where you need to go. So it's a really fun shift on business to being also a doctor. And it's a really cool profession where I get to sit.
Yeah, you became an optometrist. Did you work at a practice run by someone else? And then what was the decision for you to start your own practice? You bought a practice, I believe, right?
Yeah, so I grew up being patient to front desk, to technician, scribe, then going to optometry school, becoming an associate partner, then a full owner. So I've lived really in every hat in the industry to now vendor. Like that's what we're here to talk about. Putting my doctor hat away and now being a vendor selling to doctors has
Mhm.
been quite the journey. That's why there's a hole in my wall next to me right here.
So I'm sure there are parts of it that are very helpful, and there are parts of being a seller or a vendor to fellow optometrists. I mean, what are the downsides of that? So we understand the pros and cons.
First and foremost, I live and breathe that every day.
Yeah.
I'm still seeing patients. I still know what it is to run a practice. I still know what it is to have staff problems and become a leader. All of what we're not taught in optometry school, medical school, dental school. You become that as you get the doctorate degree behind your name, you come out in a positional leadership position. But you really haven't done the work to become that CEO of the practice. It's very different. I had to make that transition faster than some people on the tech side. So launching this company, what it took for marketing, what it took to understand vendor roles, what it took to understand the tech, customer success, and being their colleague first, then inviting them in to be a customer. It's very strange because our industry has been taught really bad habits. Save yourself to wealth, rebates, fit this product to get a rebate. In 2009, we were taught to be scared of vendors. I love that part. You found one of my LinkedIn videos. So find me on LinkedIn, connect with me there. That's my journal. So every day I'm on there. I love teaching the game, like this side of the table as a vendor, because that's what made me successful in my practice. Understanding the vendor doctor relationship, that I am the shark in Shark Tank. If everybody wants to pitch me and needs a couple minutes of my time, that makes you really valuable, but you're giving it away. You're not actually
Yeah.
asking the right questions. You're not taking risk where you need to.
Yeah. When you got into this business, there are two areas that were probably new to you, tech and marketing, right? Maybe marketing, some of that you probably used in your optometry as a CEO, but tech was a totally new thing. One thing is you're not scared of things. You think you can jump in and learn. If others are doing it, you should be able to do it. What was your reaction to starting a tech business? Is it more complicated than it looks or not being done correctly? What did you come away thinking?
I got lucky and kind of cursed in the beginning. We got a hard lesson. It was when dev shops were really popping up. We thought we were going to build an app. This is not an app. Gave a dev shop $50K to build what we thought we needed. I really had no idea. I didn't know what a GUI was. I didn't know what an API was. I didn't know what Scrum was. They said they had something and we had to pay them another $50K to get the code released, which that's laughable because, as a technology company, your code is never done. Bill never goes away. It will only grow no matter how big you get. And they just stole it. We got nothing. Fortunately, with marketing, I did some SEO and we had good Google reviews. Doug walked in as a patient. Now you've met Doug, so you know Doug. I go, what do you do? Like, I'm a developer. Oh my God, I need one of you. Doug, we had no money. So we gave him a little percentage of the company to build it. We said, build it to patient number one, which was my dad, most electronically challenged human being on the planet. I said, we do not have a product. You do not get this equity until my dad can do it. We have nothing to pay you. So you have to do this integration, get to this first order to get your equity, and then we can pay you. He came to my office at my clinic and I pulled out a notebook, which pretty much looks like this one. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to code. He's like, oh my God, where is your whiteboard? And I was like, I will be right back. And I drew the whiteboard into the wall. He made me answer really hard questions that I didn't even know why he was asking them.
Yeah.
Get the foundation, which has now allowed us to get to where we are today. He did that with me for a year. And I was like, I
Yeah.
do not understand why we do not have a product yet.
Like baking a cake from wheat or something. You got to grind it.
Grow it. You
Yeah.
have to plant the seed.
Yeah.
That's what we did.
That's amazing. Yeah, if you had known all of that, you probably would have gotten into it, or maybe done a lot more planning and thinking before you would have gotten into it. So let's dive in a little bit more. I'm founder and CEO of the optometry company and now CEO of a tech company. On a day-to-day basis, how do you manage the grind? Do you set hours aside for managing both or go back and forth? So I know you asked for help from Doug, but what about other parts like marketing?
There's been some major turning points to get to this point where I could not be running on fire. One is reading books 10 pages a day, having non-negotiables for myself, having a coach. Here's a funny story. Not a consultant, a coach. It's very
Mhm.
different. A consultant is a yes person. They just want their bills paid. That's a very different thing than having a coach. A coach is there to draw things out of you internally,
Mhm.
right at the surface, but you never give yourself a second to get it out. I invested heavily in a coach 2 years ago, which has really helped me personally.
Yeah.
We mapped out my days. Mondays, it's meeting after meeting. Tuesdays, I see patients. Wednesday morning, I see patients. Wednesday afternoon, I go back into Dr. Contact Lens. Thursday, Friday, I'm either traveling or again, building Dr. Contact Lens.
Mm.
Being in charge of business development, marketing, becoming the face of the brand. I have an amazing executive assistant that I invested heavily in 2.5 years ago through a book.
Yeah.
It's asking for help, but I was really drowning in clinic. My coach helped me reframe the day. And he goes, look, everybody needs a recovery day. You're
Mhm.
really good at clinic. You make a lot of money, see great patients. They love you. Your staff needs you. Make it a recovery day. And so that's the joke is that Tuesday, half day, Wednesday are my
Recovery
recovery
day.
day.
That is so funny that you need recovery from the tech job, but get that from your original job, right?
And then the other
Yeah.
hack I have is I have 3 little frogs on my desk here. They are little figurines. I was 4 weeks postpartum with my second baby, who's now 4. I was outside at 9 o'clock at night, almost out of money. I was with this consultant who had done it before and he was going to try to help us. I was interviewing him to be our COO. I needed help scaling it. I don't want to keep making expensive mistakes. I already did that. It's funny looking back on it. Not in the right headspace. If you're listening, meet people where they are. It
Mm.
also comes by asking better questions. He goes, Brianna, do you ever walk in the morning and write down the 3 things you need to do that day? I was like, there was a lot of F-bombs that came out, and I don't want us to get an explicit rating on this podcast. Are you F kidding me right now? What I need is a wife that's going to come in and take care of all of this stuff. And you could see where I was spiraling as a woman and having just made a baby. It played over and over in my head for almost a year and a half. And then I was rereading Atomic Habits. And there's a part in the book where he talks about the method of paper clips. So if you're a sales guy and you need to make 100 sales calls, there's something with that dopamine hit that you move it.
Mhm.
We all have this never ending to-do list that we want to be a to-done list. So the 3 frogs were born. Part of it is like eat the frog, swallow the frog. I now have my 3 frogs, and everybody has 3 frogs. One frog is one thing that will bring you or somebody else joy, one hard task and one easy task you need to do that day that will move your business forward.
Mm.
And we share them. Most of the time we're accountable, most of the time we're not, because you know you need to do them. Steve Jobs was really good at this, like understanding what was noise, what was signal.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of noise. As a CEO, as a founder, it's so
Exactly.
noisy. It comes back to focus. If you can be focused, your team can be focused. That takes a lot of personal stick-to-itiveness that as a founder, you don't have the energy to do that because you're a founder for a reason. Love the chaos.
Exactly. After you've gotten into baking the cake and trying to market it, one of the things you mentioned was that others are now trying to copy your product or your solution.
Yeah.
So How do you defend yourself against it? And what are your strategies around managing that threat?
It's not a novel idea. This idea has been tried over and over again. And we had tried some of them. So, in a sense, we copied other systems, right? We switched it where it was patient first, staff second, then the doctor. Other companies were doing doctor, staff, patient. Now, another one, if we look at what they're doing staff first,
Mm.
then doctor, then patient. What makes this successful is the way that we looked at it and heavily investing in the customer success side. You can get the accounts on, get them to the yes, but if you don't get them to the wow, they aren't going to stick. We had a churn problem. We had a huge churn problem because honestly, we were still baking the cake while we were still selling it, right? Because you wait too long to sell it, you're already missed the boat. So we are building the boat as we're trying to sell it. And it really takes those early advocates to make the product what it is, ask for feedback. We live this every day. It's something I would not want to live without in my practice. Companies can come and go and copy you and make cartoon characters out of you that look like you and copy your color. They can never copy your passion, your why. It's a wide open market. We've worked so hard at this for 9 years and still to see people, oh, it's expensive. You're not asking the right question, man. So if you're on a Facebook group, taking a recommendation for somebody that doesn't own a practice and is getting paid to say that recommendation, do I even want you as a customer? Maybe in the future, if you start asking the right questions and you start wanting to actually grow and scale, happy to have you on board. But if that's how you came in, you're going to be a problem customer.
I think that's an important lesson I've learned. It's not a question of a bad customer, it's a question of fit. There are people that are a good fit, and there are people that aren't. So the sooner we recognize customers that are not the right fit for what you're offering, it could be a lot of reasons. They're too small, they're too big, or they don't have the attitude of helping their patients in a positive way or making their life easier. Needs to be a top priority if they want to adopt your product.
As a founder, you want to help people, but if they don't want to help themselves, you are just living an uphill battle there. I did that for years. I wrote a book on it, trying to help them. It comes back as when I'm teaching my boys, be curious. You are allowed to ask questions. This is not just because mommy said so. I warrant the questions. I warrant the inquisitiveness. Because that's why we're here. That's what's gotten this world to where it is today. As we're shooting this at the end of 2025, if we hear the word AI one more time, we don't even have the basics yet. You cannot spell AI without the word basics. Let 2026 be this great reset. ChatGPT launched 6 different versions. That's giving a brand new computer every 3 weeks. No one can.
We can almost do a full podcast on that topic.
I feel like a Flintstone in a Jetsons world. 2025 has been gnarly. We were at the Inc. 5000 conference together, right? The 4 words that constantly came up. This will ring a bell with you because you were sitting in the same thing. Obviously, AI, agentic AI. One guy that talked about it, he couldn't even explain it, which tells me you don't even know what you're talking about. Upskill, which is just a fancy word for training. And the other one was culture. That's all fine and dandy. But all of this is so messy. We're using fancy words to not even get to the meat of it. And I loved what one of them said. We're 10 years away from this being where it needs to be. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the energy. We don't have the programmers. We don't have that vision yet. Be part of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm teaching my kids.
You're absolutely right. Nobody has the answers. There's a lot of questions. Is AI a great innovation? Yes. What shape it's going to take, what problems it's going to solve, how long is it going to take? I don't think anybody knows yet. I think they're guessing. Everybody is guessing. There is a video somebody sent me. It's called 2027 or something. They were predicting these all kinds of, like half the people here will be fired. Our team internally uses AI for coding. I get approached with people that have built these little proof of concept stuff in AI, and they're against a wall. When you generate some...
sell it, and it has to be functional, and it has to have a UI.
And then to get it from 80% to 90%
That's
takes,
hard.
that's very hard. And then getting it from 90 to what you want it to exactly do 100% is almost impossible. That's when people are like, okay, I have done these prompting so many times. It does not do exactly what I'm trying to do. So please take this away from my hands and make it work.
An interesting stat with like 70,000 prompts or something that it took the Coca-Cola commercial we're seeing was generated by AI prompting their marketing team. And I think it was
Yeah.
70,000.
Wow. And they say that they're going to replace entry-level people. If I had to tell somebody 70,000 times to fix something, first of all, they wouldn't last maybe the first
But they still saved a ton of resources building the commercial that way. It just comes down to remaining curious,
Yeah.
asking way better questions than what we are, not taking it at face value. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. We had a quick call up what's going on with us, and for you to come in and help us brainstorm. It's been really cool, but these relationships can be built on. There's great humans out there, guys. You have to ask for help.
Just a couple of final questions. I know you mentioned that handling challenges and bringing in the right expertise at the right time can save a lot of time. As you run into challenges, being a non-technical founder, are you likely more to ask quickly than figure things out yourself?
No, I ask for help often. Not having all the right answers, but also keeping the vision of why you built it. I read a lot, follow how Jeff Bezos built Amazon. Benjamin Hardy has great books, constantly upskilling, training yourself through reading. You have to sit as the founder, as the CEO. And it's very different energy from founder to CEO. I just actually wrote this down in my journal this morning, which you'll probably see on a LinkedIn post, on going from startup to scale up. That's very different. That startup energy does not serve you well.
You want to solve all the problems yourselves versus trying to manage it and say, maybe there are problems you need to solve yourself, but a lot of times having somebody do it so they get trained and can be additional help in solving.
If you're in that mud all day, and that's where my executive assistant, I was just on fire and I couldn't be answering all these complaints and then try to get on a sales call right after it and be bubbly, like just getting off all these train wreck calls. Like, how many times do we say that's on our roadmap? Often.
Yeah. Kudos to you that you're continuing to invest and learn and scale. So what are 2 or 3 key ideas that a leader or a behavior that a leader should possess, you believe? I think you've already addressed it, but can you isolate a couple for the audience?
There's so many hacks now, like with ChatGPT and Claude, Gemini. It's a great resource to beat yourself up. So what are my blind spots? What should I be working on? Journaling, like your daily ritual. I move my clock to getting up 45 minutes earlier. I work out in the morning. I read my 10 pages. I've got my goals on my mirror. Just knowing what I heard the other day on a podcast, it's your North Star, right? But in order to have your North Star, like if you're in a rowboat, you have to have 2 things helping you. If you only have one, you're going to go in a circle. So it's recognizing when you get into that circle, how to re-steer. You've got to learn to laugh at yourself. I constantly have soundtracks in my head. One is like, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And some days it's like, Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Like, hold on for one more day. Like, figure out what you can pump yourself up with.
So what advice would you give the next generation? One thing you already mentioned is curiosity. Be curious, right? That's one. How do you develop?
Read, ask for help sooner than you think you need it. Build processes sooner than you think you will need them. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over, like, what is it? Automate, eliminate, delegate, outsource. Constantly are climbing that thing. So my life-changing rate is, Dan Martell with Buy Back Your Time. So his main key in that book, and it's not a new concept, he does a really good job of getting you out of the way. Let's say you want to make $1,000 an hour. If you want to make $1,000 an hour, but you're doing a $20 an hour task. You just cost your company $980. He has all these things where you can understand your buyback rate and what you should be doing. That's where I invested in that executive assistant. I'm not allowed to touch my calendar. I'm not allowed to touch my email. She's gone for this week. And I'm like, oh my God. Even if you're an executive at a company, maybe the 4 of your executives invest in an executive assistant for all 4 of you out of your own money. Like maybe that doesn't even come out of the company. So you can level up yourself. So a lot of that is like 10x workers and 10x skill levels. Like you need those kind of people on, and you know quickly if they're doing it or not. I'm one of those where I will give and give, and they will take, and that's what almost put the company out of business multiple times.
Well, that's a great lesson. I really would like to thank you so much, Brianna, for being part of our podcast today. What you have accomplished is amazing. Thank you again.
Can I ask you a question, Seth?
Yes.
What's your biggest takeaway from our conversation?
Let me stop recording.
No, this is part of the recording. I get to put you in the hot seat. What have you taken from the conversation?
For me, I struggle with some of the things you have talked about, which is being organized. I need to be more organized. You mentioned how you have done 2 or 3 things. One is have a coach help you structure a day and organize the day. So I've thought about it a lot, but I've never engaged a coach. One of the things I'm learning from you is that you ask for help a lot sooner than I do, which is something that I need to learn. I started as a software engineer, so I don't feel like I need an assistant. I have employees, but that's not the same thing. But having a EA or a PA is probably going to help me a lot.
We call her my chief soul officer.
We live on our calendar, but I think asking for help, being better at being organized, and doing things that recharge you. I do have one, which is not to do with work, it's golf. So I try to recharge myself. Everybody needs one. Within work, I probably need to find tasks that are recharging as well. One area that I get recharged a lot with when we do planning, right? That's when I feel like I am very good at my job. Solving little problems all the time drains my energy. Hope that answered. Great. You're the first one to ask a question like that. Maybe if you invite me, I'll come on your podcast at some point. I know you're doing one, so congrats on that. That's the 3rd thing you're doing. So it's amazing. You're a doctor, a tech business owner, podcast host, and of course, you're a mom. There's a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Brianna. Thanks for being on. And I look forward to helping with your tech problem.
Let's get it solved.